Okay, so the market has been open for 15 minutes here. And looking at the NASDAQ futures and the ES futures, the NASDAQ has a pretty good uptrend in place as well with the ES. And so I would say there isn't really great constructive support levels. We might come down here and bounce. It looks like we're kind of selling off right now. But if you look at both of them, we had a really nice move up yesterday and a sell off. But right now, it's just kind of chopping in this bigger sideways trend still. NASDAQ has broken out a little bit more. So it's definitely looking on the bullish side overall, but also kind of weak at the same time. And so, in my eyes, that's kind of just indecision. And so it makes me less likely to want to touch it. Gold here is having a kind of zoomed out on a 15 is having a big move up here. It's kind of been chopping around for a while, but now it's had a big move yesterday, and this morning it's having a second one, and going on to a 5 minute. Like, this is a nice uptrend that I would love to try and short. But the problem is, if we zoom out to like a 30, there's just not a great level that it's at yet. I'd love it was if it was popping up here. Here, there, it's kind of had some chop, and there's some previous tops over here, but it's still just not great. And so I'll look at it and see, watch it and see, okay, well, does it set up a really nice, clean looking, like double top kind of situation where I can at least catch a move down to here, especially like maybe on a 1 minute chart if it looks like it'll reverse a little quicker. And then oil is just kind of crappy looking. It's just kind of in the middle of the zone. Maybe if it pops down to here, but at the moment, its current trend is just kind of just a sloppy downtrend. That's not interesting. I want to see something overextended and, popping up a bunch of fair value gap indicators on like a 50-minute chart. Like oil. I mean gold here. I mean that was a 30-minute technically, but again, very one directional, getting overextended. It's gonna have to have a pullback at some point. That's the main thing. There's also some news 30 minutes after the market opens. In terms of severity, it says it's orange. I think this one actually is Richmond Manufacturing Index is actually green from my sheet, so theoretically it's not that big of a deal, but it will be up here in like 10 minutes. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we can get a reversal in the NASDAQ. I think that's kind of the biggest option at the moment, especially after this reversing off of that, because we're just kind of in a sideways range. There's also this low. They're not great lows to be reversing off of because we haven't like tested it multiple times. But with these early morning reversals, sometimes that's all you need. And so I'm okay watching that and taking a quick stab on those on a 1 minute chart. Okay, this is sold off really fast on the NASDAQ, and generally when this happens, it could V bottom and I'll totally miss it. But also, we've broken below this low I like. We could totally get a failed breakout here. But I want to see, if I'm going to take a long, I need to see how it comes up and tests this level. Because otherwise it could just come up here and keep selling off. And when there's this much momentum in this case, it's you don't want to just try and jump in long out of the fear that, oh, there's a ton of this crazy move down and I can catch the whole swing up kind of thing. That's not what we're looking for. I didn't get long on this initial candle because it just needs to kind of break with the overall bullishness or bearishness happening. I almost need like a higher low here, even though this is technically a higher low. just having a little bit more confirmation would be good. The sizing here isn't great for half size. I'll probably double the contracts to go like 600 risk, which would end up being like 700. But I mean, overall, like, just doesn't look great. And this is how you weed out crappy or not great trades when you're unsure. But if this comes down here and pops up, I want to get long. And I think I want to get long 2 contracts, because that's what I was just looking for, and I think that's a good enough confirmation. You know, I'll be nervous about it because I'm a little back and forth on the read, but I think this is a good spot to jump in long because of this double bottom we have. We've hit a low from, I think this is a couple days ago, kind of Friday. And so we are in long. I'm just gonna pull my stop up below this double bottom, and I'm probably just gonna go for 2x here. Just because the market is pretty choppy. I'm just gonna switch up this indicator here. I'm kind of having some issues with it lately, just to show my actual risk and profit. So I'm smaller size than normal, kind of half size, mainly because this was a pretty bearish move, and the level is, it's like kind of like the first retest. But what I like is we have these fair value gap indicators on a 5-minute, and the timing with 8 o'clock reversal is pretty solid, and then a double bottom here. And so I think it looks good for a nice move up. And I'm only gonna go for 2x just because of this bearishness that we're having. Also, I've been sleeping like crap, so I just won't be making as good decisions potentially. This is just a pullback. I'm probably gonna have to hold through. I mean, I think with the way this trend is, it needs to have this double bottom and then some kind of fake lower. Once this kind of breaks up here, I think to break to 1x here, I'll probably move here and maybe break even if this really looks like it's going to start to get going. Just because I think this is a really nice constructive setup now, and I think it's probably going to rip back up here, or it's going to come up here at 50% here and continue lower with the big picture bearishness taking into a play. And you know, again, I'm just looking for this quick reversal in the morning, and I don't want to put risk on the table if it's just going to not really do what I want it to do. I will say this does not look great. Part of me wants to move my stop up here, take the risk off, because we haven't had a fast bounce, and it seems like the downtrend could pick up, but also in terms of big picture 5-minute, we can still totally come down here and bounce. I got a 5 minute on there, 5 minute on here. I mean, like, it would still be totally intact. And then if I got out at break even and I saw a bullish candlestick form right here, I'd be like, oh, I wish I was in that, because it set up a very clean double bottom on a 5 minute. And so I just have to, even though I'm feeling that doubt and nervousness, because it is kind of choppy, I'm just going to hold, and because the main big picture of the trade isn't violated yet. Is there the risk that it goes down? Yes. And I lose? Yes. But I don't want to get out because I'm nervous when there's no real market reason to get out. You know, risk reward is there, and the big picture of moving up and giving back that snap down we had from the market open is totally possible. And so, you know, I think once we break, this is pretty much like a little double top right here. Once we break that, I will move to break even at that point, because at that point it's had its pullback that it should have in an uptrend, and I'll want to get out at that point. But right now it's just had, this is the first push higher, and it could continue higher after a pullback. Like a NASDAQ here made a new high versus the ES actually didn't. It basically made a double top. So just kind of waiting for that to play out. And that's kind of the hard part about trading. Okay, we're getting a pop here. So I'm going to move to break even now. Sometimes I would move to this low, but if it pulls back off of that, I'm just going to get out. NASDAQ is similar. The 5 minutes, like this is the 5 minute pullback I was looking for. Like I would have still wanted to been in if I got scared and got out there. You know, the trade wasn't violated. With the way the market is, it could still just pull back and knock me out at break even. But again, just managing it. I don't know what's going to happen. I would love to take 2x, but we'll just have to see. Also, if you're wondering what trading platform I'm using, it's called NinjaTrader. I've used it for over 5 years. It's amazing. I'll leave a link in the description below this video if you want to check it out. So as this gets going here and I get close to this 2x target, I'm going to, especially once we get up to here, like once we start getting a candle up here, up to this price somewhere, I'm going to move my stop loss up pretty aggressively, because there's no point in letting it come up here and then rip all the way back down, right? I'd rather just try and get 2x at the most, but if it's just going to come up here and pull back, I'd rather just get out at like 1.5, because this is a big move up in, you know, a quick move to give this back up, which is great, but it's been kind of a slow market. And so this could really just reverse anytime now at this point. It looks really good to keep going higher. But again, big picture, 50% pullback is, based on this, is just this dot right here is literally right here on the NASDAQ. So we're at the 50%. And ES is past the 50%. So I would love for this to keep going higher, and I think if that's going to happen, it's got this tight trend that it's going to hold. And so I'm going to move up actually to 1x here. I really almost don't want to, because I don't want it to come down here, knock me out, and keep going higher. But in terms of managing it tightly and having this more fixed risk reward of, well, I only have a little bit more profit to make. There's no point in, you know, risking essentially $1,000 to make, you know, another $400. That's kind of how the math adjusts as your trade goes. And so I don't want to give all that back up. And it doesn't make sense math-wise. And so hopefully it holds this, but again, it looks like it could just have a pullback here. And you know, I could have it down here, But you know what? I'm still happy if I get 1x on a trade. It's a long, which is harder to play. It was half size, so I wasn't really super confident in it to begin with. Um, and so I can be super bummed. But I'll be a little bummed just because it does look good. But again, it's given back a lot of the move, and it's not, the market's just not acting great in terms of strength. Nasdaq here, that's a little bit nicer of a bottom to hold. But again, like I think this is, ES is gonna hold this and keep going higher if it's gonna hold. But this uptrend is already kind of broken. So 5-minute Nasdaq just looks cleaner. But again, this is where I'm at. Okay, out for 700. Still happy about it. Still a nice trade. You know, jumped in smaller size because of how I felt about it. And you know, if it just shoots lower here, I will be very happy that I got out. You know, I don't want to play this struggle game of waiting for it to continue higher slowly over and over time. Not every day is going to be, you know, amazing. Follow your strategy, go with what your read is. That's all you can do.